all right. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. My name is the Trucking Trader, and we are going to be looking at MNQH 2026. That's the Nasdaq futures chart. I just recently did a video showing you guys the exact strategy that I'm going to be using to get payouts, right? To continue to get funded. And essentially all I do right now, I am always aware of the higher time frames, right? That's why right here you guys can see I had this level marked out. This is a monthly low, right? This have been on my chart for a long time already. It has been a target that I was looking for, and then as you guys can also see right here as well, right, we have some weekly targets, right? I always mark out these levels because these are going to be, key levels for liquidity, right? So it was a shame that the market, gapped down so much Sunday, right? When the market opened up Sunday, we gapped down so much right here, right? This is our new week opening gap. If you guys don't have that on your chart, I recommend you guys putting that on your chart. The new week opening gap, especially if you're using ICT concepts, the new week opening gap is very important. So I definitely marked that on my chart. So the reason why I said it's a bit sad that we swept this liquidity already is because I was looking for that as a target, but now that it have already gapped down, swept that liquidity, during the Asian session, it is what it is, right? That's why I talk about the strategy that I use, which is, I pretty much go on a 1 hour chart every day. And then I find the most previous swing highs and swing lows, right? So, so far, I have a swing high right here. We have a swing low there that we marked out. And then this is our monthly low. I'm going to keep that on my chart because I was playing that in a minute, right? We have a swing low down here as well. Then we have a swing low down here as well, right? So the reason why I'm keeping that monthly time frame on my chart is because, on a 4 hour, you guys can already see that we're kind of breaking back above that swing low, right? So I want to see, is the market going to want to, use that as liquidity to continue to go higher, or do we want to eventually, keep going down, right? Keep going lower. Usually when the market sweeps a very key level of liquidity and then it, bounces back like this and then it leaves a big gap on a 1 hour chart, it typically could mean that it's going to want to start going back up eventually, right? But obviously we have to wait for more information before we can just start calling that, right? We don't want to ever be too soon to start trying to predict what the market is going to do. But typically that's what it's going to mean, right? And then obviously we have this new week opening gap. This is definitely a potential target for today, if not today, sometime this week. Because if we zoom in, right, you guys can see that we went right above. We went right below the new week opening gap, and then we just stopped, right? So this is definitely going to be liquidity. I wouldn't even be surprised if the market just opened at 9:30, ran out this liquidity almost instantly. Maybe it hits the midpoint, maybe it don't, whatever, right? We're going to just be waiting for that 1 hour candle to close to give us the information so we can determine if we're going to be buying and selling, right? So that's essentially the strategy that I use, right? But that don't mean I don't look at other time frames. I'm always aware of all time frames because I use so many different things when it comes to ICT concepts, right? I use so many different things when it comes to that. So just something that we're going to be looking for, right? On the daily, we swept some liquidity out. We also ran into this little daily order block right here. These two red candles make an order block. I can zoom in on this for you guys. All right, these two red candles make an order block. I could box that up, but as you guys can see, my chart is already crowded enough. So I don't really always like to box everything up, but I am aware of these things, But I'll box it up right now just for learning purposes. Notice how even on that daily order block, right? Same thing. We went right above the midpoint of that daily order block, and we rejected, right? So that's why I said, even though it looks like the market wants to buy up, at this point of time, it's really hard to tell what the market is going to do, and that's why I use the strategy that I use, which is waiting for that 1 hour candle to close at 10 a.m. right? Because that's going to really tell me everything, right? It's going to tell me a lot about what I need to be looking for. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this level green, right? And I'm going to just have it in the background a little bit, just so I can be aware of where that midpoint is at, right? Something like that. And then I really don't need the borders on there. So I'm going to, come on now, is this going to work? There we go. Then I'll lock that on my chart, just so I could be aware of that midpoint, right? But obviously it don't have to hit the midpoint. And if it don't hit the midpoint and it just keeps going up, that's definitely going to be a sign that we're likely to keep going higher, right? So from there, all I do until, 10 a.m. is I just wait. All right, I already have all of these levels marked out on my chart. All right, I can mark this level out too, because that is liquidity down there. And then that's it. All right, so we're going to wait for 9:30 to open. There's really not much to do. So, if you guys want me to look at any other charts, if you guys want to ask me any questions about ICT concepts, anything like that, feel free. Shout out to the daily rundown in the chat. Man, bro, it's always good to see you in the chat, bro. Y'all go check my brother channel out. He been killing it. He been killing it over there. I really like big respect to you over there, bro, because you've been really working hard over there. So y'all go check my brother channel out, daily rundown in the chat. So let's take a quick look at Bitcoin, since we have about 40 minutes until market open. I want to take a quick look at Bitcoin real fast. A lot of you already know my stance on Bitcoin. We are obviously in a bearish cycle, right? I told you guys in my last video that, and I'm using ICT concepts on crypto as well, right? So this purple box right here came from the weekly time frame. It was once a fair value gap. Now it's an inversion fair value gap. And you guys can see we broke below this gap. We retested it one time already. Now the question is, do we want to keep going lower, right? Obviously, we don't know for certain, but I will probably say it's likely to keep going lower. We did get a swing low on the weekly now, so we can at least use this range from swing high to swing low. All right, we're looking at Bitcoin, you guys. Swing high to swing low, right? So bare minimum, we may come up here, right? But if we can't even get to the midpoint of this range and we just hang around the lower quadrant of this range and then continue to go lower, for sure, I think we're going to go below, 30,000, right? I know it sounds crazy, but I mean, we have already made a low at 59,000, right? Pretty much 60,000 for Bitcoin. So I definitely think that 50,000 is right around the corner. And in my opinion, if 50,000 is right around the corner, then 40,000 is right around the corner. 30,000 could be right around the corner, right? It's crypto. It's a very strange time, right? There's a lot happening with war. There's a lot going on around the world that could easily drop the markets. These markets could get real volatile at any given time, right? So just want to give you guys a quick update on that for those of you who do not watch all of my live streams, but I do updates on crypto all the time, you guys, and it's pretty much I use the same concepts, right? So for example, when Bitcoin was bullish and it was running up, and I marked this weekly gap, been on my chart for a long time, and I was telling people, look at how the bodies of these candles are closing on a weekly time frame right here, right? Look at the bodies of these candles. That's showing you that if the bodies on these weekly candles don't even want to close below the midpoint, right? That's showing you that the price is still bullish. And then what happened, right? Price continued to go up, right? Now vice versa, right? On the weekly time frame, same thing, same. This is why I try to teach this stuff, because it's really not that hard, right? You just need a little bit of practice. Same thing, right? Weekly time frame, we got a weekly fair value gap. Price came into this gap one time. The body did not close nowhere near this gap, and then it's continuing to the downside, right? So that's what we're going to be looking for Bitcoin. And most of you guys already know my strategy when it comes to Bitcoin and crypto in general. Obviously, this is not financial advice, so I don't want you guys to do anything that I'm doing. This is just purely for educational and entertainment purposes only. But me personally, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to save up as much money as I can. So when Bitcoin finally do make that dip, I want to, buy as much of Bitcoin as I can possibly buy, because none of us really know how high it can go, right? And even if you only have $1,000 or $2,000 to put on Bitcoin, it is what it is, right? That's what trading is all about. It's all about trading to make money. It's not, we don't always look to go for home runs, right? We don't always have to go for 1,000 X's and all of that fancy stuff, but, right, we're just trying to make some money. All right, we can also look at the dollar index real fast as well before the market opens, see what the dollar index. Now, I'm not going to lie, right? I don't really mark the dollar index up, right? I know ICT says, like, you should be following it, but honestly, I have never really followed it with Nasdaq. I tried it before. I just feel like it just makes me more confused. It just becomes like a situation where, analysis paralysis, right? I'm looking at too many different markets, right? What else can we look at? We can look at, what else are you guys interested in looking at? Maybe gold. All right, gold been stuck up here at the top. All right, I told you guys in recent videos, right? And I teach wicks all the time, right? So obviously this is on the weekly chart. I think this wick may be from the 6-month chart. No, it's not. Maybe it's from the one month chart. Let me check. All right, maybe it's just from the weekly then, right? So let me see. On the 1 month chart, this is very bullish on the 1 month chart, right? Just because on the 1 month chart we did get a close above, right, above this wick, right, above the midpoint of this wick. So that's definitely still looking bullish. So that one thing alone may make me change my mind. You guys know before I was saying I don't really know if it's going to remain bullish or not. But on the weekly chart, when we use this wick, notice how it's a bit conflicting, because the bodies did not close above the midpoint of this wick on the weekly chart, right? So we need everything to be in sync before we can really start to trust it. Otherwise, you just end up getting faked out and buying in at the top, right? I know it's gold and, it's actually valuable. It has a bunch of use cases and all of that cool stuff. But at the end of the day, this is trading, right? And we're not trying to buy in at the top, right? We can, at the bare minimum, stick to the basics, which is what? Buy low, sell high, right? That's what we're always looking to do. So we're just going to have to be patient with gold and, wait and see what happens, right? Same thing with silver. Now, silver is a little bit different because I feel like silver is used a lot more than gold. But even when it comes to silver, I'm still waiting for at least a little bit of a pullback, right? We're looking at the 1 month chart. Same thing, you guys. We have a big wick up here. We can measure this wick out. This wick is what I'm going to be looking at, right? This is on a 1 month time frame. If the price can't get above the midpoint of that wick, then without a doubt, there's no reason to keep buying, right? That wick is going to act as resistance, in my opinion, right? But we do have a range on the weekly. We have our range already measured out, right? Swing low, swing high. We have our range. So if I'm looking to buy silver, it has to be below $75 for me to even start looking for a buy, right? But because we have this little bit of liquidity right here, I would actually even be waiting for $63 or below for me to buy silver. And I think that could be a really good price to buy silver. I think silver could definitely keep going. I definitely do think it's undervalued, even where it's at right now. All right, we're just looking at some markets before the Nasdaq open up, because there's no reason to just stare at the Nasdaq, do nothing for the next 30 minutes. We have about 30 minutes until the market open. All right, let me make sure that I'm in the right time zone, because yeah, we have 30 minutes until the market open. I'm so used to being on the road and trucking. Sometimes you got to double check that time zone, because you never know. But anyways, let me see some other markets we can look at. All right, Ethereum, same thing. I'm expecting more of a pullback. It's downtrending. Right, same thing with Ethereum. I'm expecting more of a pullback. We got some liquidity here, and there. I'm expecting all of that liquidity to be swept, and I want to save up as much money as I can, because I do believe Ethereum could dip down below $900. Right, it may be real brief. It may happen real fast. So that's why I've been trying to tell people on other videos, like, if you're going to try to catch this move, you may have to use limit orders, right? Buy limit orders. Otherwise, you probably won't even catch this move, because it could just wick down here overnight while everybody is asleep, and then by the time you wake up, it'll be right back to like 1,500 or 1,400 or something like that. So it can go from 800 to 1,400 overnight, and most of us will never know, and and then it'll just be over, right? You won't be able to really get those extra low prices. Let me see what else we got. Near protocol, I've been really bullish on Near. I told you guys already in other videos, same thing, right? We already had a liquidity sweep down here. This is the 1 month chart, right? So we already had a liquidity sweep down here. All right, we had that liquidity sweep. This monthly candle rejected away, very bullish, and then we kind of made a high at the high 140s, right? 145, $1.45, and we just been consolidating a little bit, right? But I'm excited to see if Near wants to eventually start going back up, and then see, we're going to just keep our eye on Near. I do have that in my portfolio. So, like I said, once again, this is not financial advice. This is just me pretty much looking at the charts with you guys, showing you guys what I do and what I be looking at and what's on my watch list, right? Just a quick little rundown before we get back on that Nasdaq chart. All right, since the market, right, we still have about 28 minutes before market open. I don't always get a chance to look at my watch list either, right? I have alerts on certain things, but because a lot of things are bearish right now, I don't really need to look at it every day. I just check in once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks, because I'm also using the higher time frames, right? Gasoline, right? Gasoline may be something to buy, right? Look at this chart. As you guys know, gas prices are going up right now. So, if you're worried about gas prices going up, well, listen, here's the thing. Trade it, make some money from it. It's as simple as that, right? Trade it, make some money, because at the end of the day, it's probably going to keep going up. We don't know how long this war in Iran is going to last. We don't know how much everything is going to continue to ramp up, right? So that's why you guys really need to learn how to trade. It's very essential at this point. MP, let me look at MP. MP is making a pullback. Oh gosh. All right, so let's get back on that Nasdaq chart. We got about 27 minutes until the market opens, and I just want to be locked in. I'm about to make sure I'm logged into all of my accounts. I have a funded account with E8 Markets right now, 150K account. That 150K signature account. I have that one. And then I also have a 200K account with Alpha Capital right now. Both are funded. Both are in profits, right? So we're just looking to get a payout this week, at least from Alpha Capital. It's probably going to take a little bit more time to get a payout with the E8 markets account because that account is more like a futures account, right? So I can't really, I don't really want to blow that. I don't really want to risk too much on that account because it's like trailing end of day drawdown. And yeah, if you go into deep drawdown on those type of accounts, you could easily blow those accounts. Melissa Naomi, wait until 10. Good morning. Crazy drop at open yesterday. Yes, that was pretty crazy. And good morning to you, my love. I don't even think I texted you this morning. Definitely didn't. But good morning to you. It's always a pleasure to see my love in the chat. So we just waiting, right? We have all of our swing highs and swing lows up marked out already. I'm going to make sure that I have all of my accounts ready to go. Sometimes it's so annoying, like when TradeLocker log you out of the account. It's like, why are you logging me out of my account? All right, so I'm going to make sure all of my accounts are ready and good to go. I hope everybody is having a good day, and I appreciate all of you guys who have hit that like button. Shout out to you. This week, you guys, I'm like really trying to be extremely disciplined this week. I only have 3,000 left to get a payout, and the last thing I want to do is crash out or do a bunch of crazy stuff that I know I shouldn't be doing. So I just really have to be patient. I'm in my trade locker right now. I'm going to do the same thing that I have done on my trading view chart. I like to have these lows already mapped out on my trade locker as well because, when the market is moving in real time, sometimes you don't really have the time to be wondering, where should I put my TP? Where should I put my stop loss? Where's the lows? Where's the highs, right? It's just always better to have everything mapped out. All right, well, I'm almost done with that. So we already have everything mapped out. And there it is. So, I'm definitely wondering, like, do the market want to just magically turn bullish? Obviously, like I was telling you guys, I don't even try to guess and predict anything no more. But on the higher time frames, we're definitely looking bearish. That doesn't mean we can't pull back up. On the 4-hour time frame, we have, first off, let me just delete some of this stuff, right, so you guys can see. Well, not delete, but let me hide it for a while. Right, so on a 4-hour time frame, I was going to pull right back up because I forgot about that, right? So anyways, 4-hour time frame, right, we have a breakaway gap right here. We have this order block, right? We have this new week opening gap. So I think at least for a while, price is going to hold price down for a little bit, but I definitely don't think that this is going to be a real breakaway gap. And I can see price potentially, blasting through here. And the reason why I say that is because all the way up here, right, all the way up here, we have this little order block right here, and then this is also a bearish engulfing candle right there. So I do think price could want to go all the way back up there before it continues to go lower. All right, so this right here is the bearish engulfing. All right, this red candle has engulfed the candle right before it, this green candle. So we have a bearish engulfing on the 4 hour, plus we have an order block connected to that. That's a very strong pattern right there, candle pattern. So, and then up here we have made some liquidity, right? So that's why I said, like, I don't really think, you know, that's going to like hold price down forever. All right, we do have some liquidity up there, but who knows how long it could take to get up there, if it even wants to get up there at all, right? Right, so I really don't try to predict too many things, especially, you know, when it's on a 4 hour time frame. I really have no interest in trying to make, you know, predictions for the next 5 weeks or anything like that. I'm really just looking for 2 days price action, right? So that's why I'm going to stay on the 1 hour time frame. And today we're just looking to either take a scalp or take an intraday trade. That's all. I really don't need to look too far back, right? And that's why, you know, I explained all of that in the last live stream that I did. If you guys haven't seen that video, make sure to go check that out. I think I dropped some gems in that video, right? I'm showing you guys exactly what I'm doing to get funded and to, you know, get a payout. So if you haven't, you know, gotten to that level yet, it's all right. Sometimes you just need the right person to help, you know, help you get to that level. There's a lot of people on the internet and they're just pushing the button every 5 minutes. They're trading the Asian session, London session. And in my opinion, it don't really teach you guys anything, because, you know, you start thinking that it's okay to just be bouncing around and trading every session and doing too much, right? A lot of people don't talk about this, but in order to like get funded and to be consistent with these accounts, you have to be consistent all across the board, right? These accounts are very unforgiving when you start doing a bunch of stupid shit, right? You do too much stupid shit, you're not going to get funded. You're not going to get a payout. You're just going to blow another account. They're only giving you 5% risk on these accounts, right, per day. That's not that much. So you have to eventually learn how to, you know, have good risk management. You have to have good patience, good discipline, and you have to be able to do it for more than 1 day at a time, more than 1 week at a time, right? You have to be able to do this stuff for weeks at a time. And obviously nobody is perfect. Nobody is perfect, but that's what you at least should be aiming for, right? You should be aiming to, you know, be more consistent, be more disciplined. Right? That's why you don't even see me dropping into the lower time frames right now, because I know myself, you know, and I know if I drop it to the 5 minute, I'm, you know, it's easy to start seeing stuff. Oh, what if it does this? What if it do that? The best thing to do for me, and that's why, you know, last week I didn't even live stream, because I was so, well, honestly, I was busy. That was one of the reasons why. But the other reason is because I was just so locked in. And I feel like sometimes as a trader, when you're live streaming, this stuff is a complete distraction sometimes. Right? And because, you know, you want to entertain people and, you know, you want to make an interesting video, you may end up doing some shit that you know you're not supposed to be doing. So I'm just going to be disciplined. Even on the live stream, I'm going to be disciplined. I'm not taking the trade until after 10 a.m. Right? So if you're on this video and you're looking for the excitement, if you're looking for the thrills, I'm going to tell you right now, go to PW for that, right? We all know, and I have nothing against PW, but we all know PW at 9:30, he's pushing the button. And look, I have nothing against him for that. But that's the facts. So if you're looking for somebody like that who's going to give you some excitement, some entertainment, this channel may not be for you, right? I'm not here to really entertain anybody. I'm here to help educate people who want to learn how to trade. And if you really want to learn how to trade properly and get to the next level, then this channel is for you. Right? So we have about 16 minutes left until market open, you guys. I'm going to take a break from talking, woo-saw a little bit, drink some water. Because for some reason, it don't matter like how long I've been trading. For some reason, I always end up having to like go to the restroom right before the market open, or my armpits start sweating. Leave a comment down below if y'all go through the same thing. I don't know what it is. Like, I don't even be nervous. I don't know what it is, but every time when the market is getting ready to open, I got to just calm myself down, right? And I feel like the market makers, they know that about us, man. That's why like that 9:30 when the market open, it start doing all type of crazy shit, and it gets people emotional. And then, people start taking trades that they know they shouldn't be taking. I feel like they do that to us intentionally. So, that's why I said I'm locked in, you guys. Make sure y'all drop a like on this video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Remember, the best way to support this channel is use code trucking. Right? All of my links are in the description below. All of the companies that I'm going to be working with in the future, you guys know, I mostly prefer the two-step accounts. I like the old school accounts. I feel like they give you more experience, right? I feel like you can work with them a little bit more. I feel like you can make mistakes with them a little bit more. And this is coming from somebody who have done, both futures and two steps, right? I have taken payouts with the futures accounts, and I have taken the payouts with the two-step accounts. So me personally, I just like two steps a little bit better. So you guys know I'm funded with E8. I'm funded with Alpha Capital right now. Once I get consistent payouts with them, I plan on going to some other companies that I have been doing research with, FTMO, FundedNext. I've been looking at FXIFY, right? Just all of these different companies, right? Because eventually I want to have like, $1 million plus in funded, and I want to just be consistent with that $1 million of funded capital, and be able to get to a point where, I can quit my job, and then I can do this every day with you guys on live, full time, right? That's my goal. Bandit Assassin, what's good, Nate, baby? Oh man, I'm too geeked to see Nate in the chat. What's good, Nate? It's always good to see you. We just looking at the market before it opened. If you got any markets you want me to take a look at, we got 14 minutes left before 9:30. Once 9:30 hit, I'm going to be completely locked in on Nasdaq, giving y'all my full commentary, and hopefully just trying to help teach y'all about ICT concepts, right? That's pretty much how I became a good trader, right? I have to give ICT his credit. I have no problem with giving that man his credit because, I was struggling before I found his channel, and that's just the facts. So we're just waiting for this market to open up. Got about 13 minutes left. Super excited to see all of y'all in the chat, man. I love it, man. I love it. I'm good. Good morning to you as well. I'm good. I'm in Indiana right now, waiting at the door to get unloaded, and obviously I'm looking at the market. We're funded. We're trying to take a payout this week, Nate. So everything is good. We're just taking everything one step at a time. Obviously, still on the grind out here. You know how it go, Nate. Come on now. Yep, I appreciate you for dropping in, Nate. So another thing I think I should, like I said, I don't want to have too many boxes on my chart, but I'm definitely watching to see how the market is going to respect this gap right here on a 1 hour time frame. Because, we had a gap going to the downside right here, Then we broke above this gap. So this should theoretically be an inversion gap, right? So, you know, we could box this inversion up like this. We can just make it yellow, right? Let's make it yellow. All right. So this is an inversion fair value gap on a 1 hour time frame. So I'm gonna be looking at this gap, this inversion, and I'm also going to be looking at this gap right here because, you know, so far, let me zoom in to show you guys what I'm looking at. So far, this candle right here went into this gap just a little bit and it kept going. So that's a bullish signature. But the fact that this market stopped after all of that and started consolidating, that's a bearish signature, right? So long story short, I am expecting at least a little bit of a pullback, but this market definitely do not have to pull back, right? It could just open up at 9:30 and just keep going to the upside. So like I told you guys, I don't really try to get too much into the prediction game. I used to think that was what trading was all about, was, you know, predicting something and being right, but it's not, right? It's all about waiting to see what the market is telling you, being able to read price by looking at the candles. And then after you wait and get enough information, then you take a good trade only after you have found the trade that offers really good risk to reward. So like the golden standard for me is like a 1 to 3. If it's not a 1 to 3, I'm not really interested in taking it. All right, that's like the golden standard for me. So I have a 200K account with Alpha Capital. They have me in a risk management group. Honestly, I don't know why. I thought I did a really good job managing my risk, but whatever. I think sometimes they put you in those risk management groups just to prevent you from taking a really large payout. But it's okay because I don't really need that many lots to make money anyways, right? So essentially, I'm using like 10 lots on each trade, and I'm risking about 500 to 700 per entry, so that, you know, I can eventually work my overall risk up to maybe 1%, right? Depending on how much I like the trade. But I try to risk at least anywhere between a quarter to 1%, depending on the trade setup, right? Going for a 1 to 3. Because if you think about it, on a 200K account, if I'm risking a 0.5%, which is $1,000, and I'm going for a 1 to 3, even if that, you know, even if my trade gives me, you know, a 1 to 2, and maybe it start acting, you know, choppy to give me that last little, you know, percent or whatever, that last little 0.5%, it's okay, right? I could take that 1 or 2 and be happy for the day. Make 1%, be happy, move on. Right? Then it's also good because if I take a loss, like let's say, you know, if I get into a trade, my first entry, I'm risking 500 to 700, take a loss. It's not the end of the world. I'm not even down a half of a percent yet. Right? So then I can recalibrate, see what I did wrong, and then, you know, go right back in there, risk the same amount again, possibly get that back, right? Going for a 1 to 3 risk to reward. So just wanted to give you guys a quick just a little quick breakdown of, you know, my risk tolerance. I'm trying to really dial it back because, you know, the last time I blew that 100K account that I had with Alpha Capital, and I thought I was doing really good with the risk, but if you go on a losing streak, you know, that changes everything. So obviously I'm still learning. You know, last year was my first year ever being a break-even trader, and I'm trying to make this year my first year as a profitable trader. All right, so I'm still learning, and that's why I do think this is one of the best channels for you to you know, subscribe to if you want to learn how to trade, because I'm giving you guys the full breakdown, everything I'm doing, right? Everything that I'm doing, the full breakdown. I'm not just here pushing the buttons trying to sell you my code. I mentioned my code one time, right? I always remind y'all that is the best way to support the channel, but I'm not just here trying to spam my code. I'm honestly here to just try to give back because I know a lot of people struggle with trading. So if I could, help at even just one person, that's more than enough for me, right? So that's my goal with this YouTube channel, right? So we got 6 minutes until the market open, you guys. Got about 6 minutes until the market open. It's so, what's funny? I was just thinking about this, right? I can almost guarantee you, as soon as the market open, somebody is going to come knocking on my semi truck, telling me to open my doors and back up to the door. I can almost guarantee it. It happens like this all the time. All right, trading on the road can be such a distraction at times, but it is what it is. All right, so remember at 9:30, the first thing we're going to be looking for is the first presented fair value gap. When I put that on my chart, I'm going to make that box light, sky blue. And then after that, we're going to wait for that 1 hour candle to close. And then we're going to start looking for a trade, right? That's essentially what I look to do every day. Four minutes until market open. Let's get it. Let's get it. It's gonna be a good week. It's gonna be a good week. I'm telling y'all. I can feel it, right? And it's because we're gonna be patient. We're gonna be disciplined, right? We're gonna be trailing our stops into profits. Every time we get a little bit of money, we're locking it in, right? That's the beautiful thing about being funded. Sometimes, being funded, I forget. I can be up 2,000-3,000 and not lock it in, right? I'm not doing that no more. On my funded account, if I'm up 200-300, I'm locking it in, right? Because everything counts. Obviously, with Alpha Capital, they have a rule where you have to hold your trades for at least 2 minutes, and they also have another rule where you can take multiple trades, but you have to take them at least 2 minutes apart, right? So sometimes that can be tricky, but I have learned how to navigate that. And essentially, what I try to do now is whenever I take a trade, as soon as 2 minutes go by, I'm looking to put my stop loss into profits if I'm in profits. All right, because I don't mind taking that scalp, whatever it is. If I'm up 200, 300, whatever, I'll take it. Because at the end of the day, you never know what the Nasdaq is going to do. And whenever the Nasdaq give you some profits, it's always best to just go ahead and lock something in and reward yourself for doing something right. All right, it's never a bad idea to do that. So, I wouldn't be surprised if we wanted to go up a little bit, but we just have to wait and see. We have to really wait and see. I honestly believe it can go either way. For those of you who missed it, I talked about on the daily time frame, right? We have this order block right here. On the daily time frame, these two red candles make an order block, right? We know the stop loss is down here, where that weekly liquidity is at. Right, then we have these two red candles make an order block right there. Let me zoom in. All right, these two red candles right here makes an order block. And then we know so far as well on the daily time frame, right, price went, is this? Right, we know on a daily time frame, 2 seconds. Where am I? Right there, bam, right? So last night we went right before the midpoint of this, and then we rejected away. So that's why I'm saying that I do think it could possibly even pull back as well. Right now it's really hard to tell, and that's just another reason why you shouldn't be trying to buy right as the market open, right? Because it's really hard to tell with the market. Is it going to drop? Is it going to go up? Who knows, right? So I'm just going to stick to my strategies. No reason to do anything outside of that. It's been working. It has got me funded, and it's going to give me a payout, right? So there's no reason for me to do anything outside of what I normally do. All right, ding, 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 ding. The bell has opened, right? We went right up, but we did not sweep that liquidity just yet. All right, on a 1 hour time frame, which is where that yellow line is at. But we did go up, right? So the first thing I'm going to be looking for is the first presented fair value gap. Remember that the first presented fair value gap happens at 9:31 and after, right? So anytime after 9:31, that's when you can start looking for the first presented fair value gap. Right at 9:30, when the market first opened, if the market creates a gap, that is not the first presented fair value gap. Bam. So we did come up. We sweeping some liquidity right here. Let's see how high we want to go. All right, I'm still not doing anything, you guys. Still not doing anything but waiting, being patient. All right, so we finally got, we got the gap on the 9:30. Now we're going to be looking for that first presented fair value gap, right? Even though this is not the first presented fair value gap, you still can use this gap right here at 9:30 to see how, what the market wants to do, right? Obviously, if it just touches into, if it goes into this gap a little bit and keeps going, that could be a scalp opportunity. But like I said, I'm not going to be doing anything like that. I'm just sticking to one strategy. I don't want to do a million different things, right? So far, we went right up here. We swept that liquidity on the 1 hour, and we're working within this new week opening gap. So the new week opening gap is going to be something that we're really going to pay attention to, because we at least want to see the midpoint of this new week opening gap get hit, right? But if the midpoint don't get hit, then we know that, that can be a sign that we're going to go back down, right? And if we measure out from the bottom of our new week opening gap, right, we measure out from the bottom to the midpoint, then we can find the middle level of this lower quadrant, right? So the lower half of this gap is where this yellow line is at, right? The middle of the lower half of this gap is where this yellow line is at, right? So you guys can see we touched up into the 25% level, and now we're going to be waiting to see how much do we want to work up throughout this gap for the first 30 minutes of the day, right? So on a 1 hour chart, what we're looking to do is we're looking to wait for this candle right here to close on a 1 hour chart. This candle right here, right? It started at 9 a.m. and it's going to close at 10 a.m. and a new candle is going to form, right? So this candle is going to give us a bunch of information. If it closed really bullish, meaning that if the body of this candle closed above here, then we're going to look for buys, right? But if the body of this candle closed below this swing high right here, then we're going to start looking for sales, right? So it's just something that we have to be patient. And that's the thing about trading, you know. That's why I was just telling y'all I don't even like being on the screen that early sometimes, because you know, you end up sitting here for about an hour or so doing absolutely nothing, and then that can make you lose discipline at times, you know. You might get bored, you might force a trade, whatever. So I'm going to be looking at this on a 1 minute time frame for a little while, because I'm still looking for that first presented fair value gap. Yeah, we definitely sticking to the plan this week for sure. 1000%. There's no reason to do anything else but stick to the plan. So right off the rip, we sweeping liquidity. We're starting to move away just a little bit, right, from where this yellow line is at, right here, 24,493, to where it just made this low, 24,431. That's almost a 60-point drop, right? So we're definitely moving away a little bit, but like I said, regardless of what the market does, what we're going to do is wait. We're going to be very patient. Right, waiting for that 1 hour candle to close is a big part of this strategy. If you don't do that, then it's like you're not even using the strategy anymore. You're doing something completely different. We could also, you know, toggle through some other time frames and see, you know, just for learning purposes, what could possibly hold the market up, right? Look at the 5 minute. Right, so on the 5 minute time frame, this little gap right here was a breakaway gap, where we're going to see if the market wants to go down there and sweep this liquidity. But it's probably not going to do it, because it's probably still going to act as a breakaway gap. So we can, like, let's say if I was trading before 10 a.m., which I'm not, you know, this could be a potential idea, right? But we will have to wait for this 5 minute candle to close. All right, why do I keep, where's my Fibonacci at? There we go. Come on now. So we have to wait for this 5 minute candle to close using that range right there. So, you know, it's not something that I would be interested in. I don't really like the way that trade looks at all. But this is definitely something that I want to watch for learning purposes right here. This little gap right here This is a 5-minute fair value gap, but it's also a breakaway gap. And the reason why it's a breakaway gap is because you guys can see every time the market pulls back, it refuses to touch the zone. So that's going to be a breakaway gap, at least for now, right? Until the market invalidates that. All right, so we could also, you know, toggle through while we wait for that 1 hour candle to close. See what else we can find in here. I would prefer for this market to not sweep this liquidity just yet, because this could be a target for me. But, you know, so far they have dropped off like 100 points already, so we're just being patient. That's why I was saying in the beginning of the video, I was saying the market could go up, but it could also come down, right? And notice, look at what it did, right? Market opened up, it went up, but now we dropped 100 points as well. So that's why it's so hard to trade right when the market opens sometimes, because, you know, you can be right and still take a loss, right? Maybe you took the buy, held it too long, the market came down, stopped you out, right? Within the next couple 5-minute candles, because it's moving really fast right now. So I'm going to be seeing how this 5-minute, you know, candle wants to hold up. It's looking like it may want to go all the way down and sweep all of this liquidity that's right there. All right, we got liquidity right there as well, some equal lows. Right, and I should be able to find my first presented fair value gap at this point. All right, so this little gap right here is our first presented fair value gap. This gap right here is going to be our first presented fair value gap. So what we're going to do is we're going to mark that out. And I like to make mine sky blue, because it really stands out. And then I like to label mine. I just put, you know, first presented. All right, then I might put the date on there, March 9th or whatever. Just like that. Then we can lock that on there. So now we have our first presented fair value gap. But we're still just waiting. All right, it's a waiting game. We're going to go back to the 5-minute time frame and see what's going to happen. So notice how the market is still a little bit reluctant to take those lows. Hopefully they save them for me. All right. It's looking like we should 1000% be getting a close below this swing high up here on the 1 hour chart. So from there, all we have to do, even right now, we can start looking at different time frames, right, to see what looks the cleanest. I do like the 2 minute time frame. Right, 2 minute time frame is looking really clean, but the 1 minute is looking pretty clean as well. So notice this is how we're building narrative, right? Notice how we have only hit the very low level of this new week opening gap, right? We have only hit the lowest levels, and then we're likely to close below this 1 hour swing high, right? We still got 15 minutes, but it's likely to close below it. And then right here, we have an order block. Then we have an order block on a 1 minute time frame. So my trade, I could already see how this trade is likely going to happen for me. It's probably going to look like this. I'm going to have to use, I talk about, order blocks being clustered up all the time. People be asking me questions about how to use order blocks properly. Whenever it's an order block like this, and then there's an order block like this, I'm going to always use this one as my stop loss, right? And if you really want to be safe, you could just use this swing high as a stop loss, right? So I do believe that even though we have the first presented, because of what's going on right now, price may go a little bit higher, right? Draw, really make people think, it's getting ready to reverse. And then this could possibly be the trade idea right here, right? And that's a 4-to-1 risk to reward ratio. Right, and if you want to just be safe, you could just put your stop loss right there. Maybe go for a little bit more down here. Still a 3-to-1, right? So I could already see that this is likely going to be the trade idea that I take right here. And we're just going to wait to see how this plays out. All right, the market did sweep some liquidity. Right, it did sweep that liquidity on the 1 minute time frame right here. We can mark that out. You guys can see right there on the 1 minute. Right, we swept that and instantly started to reject. So I wouldn't be surprised if it comes all the way back up and get us into this trade. But if it don't come back up, then this right here is going to be a breakaway gap, and then we can really start maybe looking to go even further down to the midpoint of that order block on the daily chart, right? But it's too early to really predict that just now. We're going to have to wait and see what happens with that. As of now, the only thing I would do is, I would use this range on a 1 minute time frame, swing low, swing high, and then I would have to wait for this market to pull back up above that yellow line to start looking for an entry to take a sell. All right, but it's definitely looking like sales are going to be the way to go for today, right? Then another target that we could possibly look for is that inversion gap that I told you guys about, which is this yellow zone right here. We can possibly look for that as a target as well, but I don't really want to start getting too ahead of myself. Right, we don't know how much this market is going to want to drop off, but we really have to wait and see, what it wants to do. If it leaves this gap open on a 1 minute time frame, then I think we can definitely get there, right? If we leave this gap right here open, then I think we can definitely get there. But we still have to wait. Got about 11 more minutes left until this market, we got 11 more minutes until that 1 hour candle close, right? So we just want to be patient for that. I'm going to continue to toggle through different time frames. All right, now we have to update this right here. Just made a new low. It's looking like the market really wants to drop, but we just have to wait and see. Still too early, right? It's only been 22 minutes since the market been open, right? So we really want to wait. We really want to be patient. But I'm toggling through different time frames, and what I'm looking at is all of these different gaps. Like I said, if they're left open, then market could definitely want to continue to drop fast, right? So we have a gap on the 2 minute time frame. We have a gap right here on the 3 minute time frame. And then we're making a little order block right here. So if this order block is respected, the market could easily want to continue to just drop faster and faster, right? But this could also be liquidity, right? So that's why I want to wait for 10 a.m. because this could be liquidity. It can make people think that the market is going to just continue to drop from those order blocks, right? Maybe you can get a little scalp from these order blocks right here. Just like right there, right? It touched into that order block and then it dropped off a quick, 30 points, right? So that could be a scalp, but we don't really know if the market is going to want to come back into this first presented fair value gap or not, right? So we really want to be patient and wait for that. Remember, all you need is one trade a day. You really don't need a million trades. You don't have to take every one. You just need to have discipline, find a good 3-to-1 risk to reward ratio, and then when you actually get in the trade, you want to manage it well. You want to trail your stop into profits, if you get profits, right? And just be as good as you can possibly be, right? Same thing, right? 4 hour time frame. We have this gap, right? And when I'm using the first presented fair value gap and it's moving away from it this fast, like I said, that to me could possibly mean that we could be going to the downside really fast, right? So when you couple everything together, I'm going to move this. When you couple everything together, right, meaning that we hit the lower levels of this new week opening gap, right? We haven't even touched this first presented fair value gap. And the market has already dropped about 140 points. That's giving you a lot of information right there. So we got 6 minutes until this candle close. We just want to be patient because, you know, like I said, this up here could be liquidity. All right, and then this right up here could be liquidity as well. All right, so we don't want to get too excited thinking that the market may not want to pull back up there. It could easily pull back up there. But so far, it's just going to the downside. Do I feel anxious? Do I feel like I should have taken the sell or something? No, I'm waiting for my strategy to play out. All right, this is where a lot of people remember this yellow zone was at first it was a breakaway gap. Remember this yellow zone right here. Let me show y'all where this yellow zone come from. Look at how it's reacting off of this zone now. This was a fair value gap. At first it was a breakaway gap because the market could not touch inside of there. Now that we have touched inside of there, that's automatically telling you that that uptrend is getting weaker and weaker, right? Now these candles are still closing a bit bullish, at least for now, right? The bodies of these candles are still closing a bit bullish. But because we had that sweep up here on that liquidity and we haven't closed above that swing high on a 1 hour time frame, I think we could possibly be bullish, right? Now notice how aggressive that rejection was right there. That's why, you know, that first 30 minutes of the day, you're really just waiting for information. Because I was just telling you guys on a 1 minute time frame, right? They may give you a scalp from these order blocks, right? You see it came up right here, touched this order block. These 3 green candles make one order block. These 3 green candles, 1, 2, 3. These 3 right here make an order block. Came up here one time, gave you a scalp. But if you don't take that scalp or trail your stop loss aggressively, look how fast it comes back up to take you out the trade. So that is why so many people lose their accounts, blow their accounts, go into heavy drawdown before, 10 a.m. because there's a lot of movement at 9:30. And, it can definitely make you excited. It can definitely make you feel like I should be doing something right here. I'm missing out on the entire move, but you just have to wait. You have to trust your process, trust your strategy, and be patient. All right. As soon as I put those little bubbles on my chart and showed y'all, and I told y'all it could go up there for liquidity. And then what did it do? All right. Haven't went up there yet, but now I'm almost certain that it's going to take that for liquidity, right? Especially because I just showed you guys on the 5-minute time frame. Look at how these bodies are closing on the 5-minute time frame. So overall, it's still respecting this fair value gap on the 5-minute a little bit too well for me. Right? A little bit too well for me. So, on the 5-minute time frame, there's obviously an order block right here. These 2 green candles make one order block. So just like I said, that trade idea I was showing you guys, your stop loss will have to be, if you want to have a safe stop loss, it will have to be at the top. All right, it will have to be up here at the top. I do think price is going to go a little bit higher than that first presented fair value gap because on a 1-minute time frame, right, look at how it looks on a 1-minute time frame. All right, we got an order block right here. We have an order block right there. Whenever you see these order blocks clustered up like that, never use the lower one for a stop loss. Always, at the bare minimum, use the higher one. But if you want to be extra safe, just use this swing high up here, right? That's what I'm going to be doing. So like I said, we're looking for a sell. We just had to wait for it to set up. And then we want to at least go for a 1 to 3 on this trade. So it's getting ready to set up. Notice how it's setting up right around, 10 a.m. So you could avoid all of the stress. All you have to do is wait for your trade to set up. So I'm just being real patient, you guys, being real quiet. There's really nothing else left for me to tell you guys about. We measured out our range from swing high to swing low. This yellow line is the midpoint of our range. So from there, we can start looking for sales. But obviously, I would like to take a sell up here, right? At least first presented fair value gap or higher, right? So as soon as I said that, we're going right up into this level. So we just touched it right there. But like I said, I think we're going to at least go work our way all the way up into this order block right here on a 1 minute time frame before we really start to work our way off, right? Work our way back down. So we could even, lift this up a little bit like that. I think we could do something like that, right? It's nothing wrong with taking the trade even from here, but you have to have your stop loss all the way up there, right? And I really want a good risk to reward on this trade. Right now it's like a 1 to 4. If I was to take it right here, it'll be a completely different trade. So I want to see how much it wants to go up. But it's getting very close to my entry. So I'm going to take a sell right there, first entry. So I just took at least one sell right there. All right, just have one entry so far on both of my accounts. Because I use CFD, I don't have the same price, but I essentially got in right at the lower part of this area right here. So my first entry right now is like right here. Right, so we are in a little bit of drawdown, but that's okay because I am looking to maybe possibly add into this trade as well. Right, I just wanted to at least go ahead and snag one entry. And the reason why I got in a little bit earlier is because, like I said, on Alpha Capital, they have a 2-minute rule where you have to hold your trades for at least 2 minutes, but you have to also wait to take another entry for at least 2 minutes, right? So I entered this trade at 10:04 with 21 seconds on the clock, so I have to wait until at least 10:07 before I can take another entry, right? But I do want to take another entry, right? I don't really have to, but I would like to take another entry right here, right? But so far we are in profits, right? Look at this reaction. Look at this reaction, you guys. Look at that reaction right there. We haven't even been in the trade for more than 2 minutes, and I'm already up $800 on my prop firm account. Bro, I do think they're going to pull it back up at least one more time, but I just wanted you guys to see that in real time because, like I told you guys yesterday on my live, when I push the button, the trades be reacting. Right? We don't do all of this consolidation stuff. All right, so if we do go too low, and then if I'm in this trade for more than 2 minutes and it goes a little bit too low, I am going to move my stop to protect my trade, right? I did want to possibly take 2 entries up there at the top, but like I said, with Alpha Capital, I have to wait 2 minutes apart to take the entry, right? So I may not get an opportunity to take another entry, right? Which is completely fine with me. I'm already up $700 on this trade. So at this point, I would like to just see it continue to go down, right? And I would like to see it leave this gap right here open as much as possible. And I would like to see it continue to go down, right? But if it don't do that, then I'll probably, take this first trade as a scalp because I'm already almost up about $1,000, right? So I don't want to, because I do think it could go back up again. I want to be smart and lock in profits when they giving me such a, such good profits in such a quick time frame, right? But as of now, I'm not really going to stress it too much, right? If it pull back up, that's fine. I'll take another entry. If it don't, I'm going to be trailing my stop to lock in some profits right here. So what I'm waiting to do, I do have my stop losses pulled down. If we can, I want to, like I said, I want to see how it's going to behave. I want to see how it's going to work off of this gap right here. Right, so if it don't get back into that gap, then I know to just hold on to my trade for as long as I can because we're likely to start moving down really fast. But I want to see at least, this gap right here. Let me put something on there like that. I want to see at least the midpoint of that gap. I don't want to see a body close above the midpoint of that gap. Otherwise, I know we're going to go back up here and retest that level one more time. But essentially, we had a weak entry up there. All right, so I'm up about almost $900 on my 200K account, and I'm up about almost $250 on my E8 Markets account, right? And I'm getting ready to possibly trail. So I want to be as patient as I can possibly be. before I move my stop, right? But so far, this is really good price action. I just want to be as patient as I can be. What I'm waiting for right now is, you know, I have my stop loss like down here, the lower part of this fair value gap, right? But I haven't confirmed it just yet because I want to see if we're going to respect this little order block and then keep moving down. All right, if we respect this order block and keep moving down, then what I'll do is, as soon as we break below this order block, I'll move my stop like right there below that order block. Right, but I'm just going to be patient. It gave me some really good price action really fast. And as much as I want to just go ahead and lock profits in right now, I don't want to, you know, get out so soon and then this market just start dropping off like really fast. So right there, we just broke below that level I was just telling you guys about. And if we haven't broke below it yet, but we're getting ready to break below it. And what I want to see is I want to see it, you know, get below there with some speed and some strength. All right, and then I could possibly be looking for that as a target. But I would love to see this gap right here get left open. All right, if we don't touch this gap at all, then for sure we're getting ready to go down with some speed. But even if it do come up here and touch this gap, I don't want to see any body close above the midpoint of this gap, and I don't want to see price go too high, right? So we're not going to get a chance to put 2 entries on this trade, but we are in profits, right? We're definitely in some good profits right here. So we did break below that level I told you guys about. I'm going to potentially get ready to move my stop loss into profits right where this, I'm going to make this line right here. Let's make it purple, right? So I can show you guys where I'm going to be trailing my stop. So I'm going to go ahead and confirm that stop right there just so we're locking in profits on this trade because it's getting really aggressive to the downside. Right? Getting really aggressive, but it definitely could come back up, stop us out, but I just want to be smart on this first trade. But it definitely could come back up and stop us out because we have an order block right here as well, right? We have an order block right here. Price could come back up, and right here is getting ready to stop us. Actually, I'm going to move my stops back up a little bit higher just because I want to trail properly. And then I also need to look at the 5-minute time frame real fast. Okay, on the 5-minute. So we still haven't made a gap on the 5-minute. So actually what I'm going to do on the 1-minute, I'm going to put my stop right here actually. I just moved it right there just to be safe, right? Because we want to be able to trail this stop down as much as we can. But I don't want to get greedy, right? This trade have worked out to perfection so far. I'm up about 1,300. If we break below this low right here, if we break below this low, I'm moving my stop into profits. And that might just be it for today. But right now, my stop is like all the way right here. I had to move it back just to be safe. But I don't want to be greedy, right? So if we can break below this low, well, it don't seem like we're going to break below it just yet. So I did move my stop. I'm even thinking about adding as it pulled back up. I'm even thinking about adding, but I don't really want to get too greedy because adding could, you know, really mess up everything, right? So I just want to be patient. So right now I have my stop pretty much right here, just because I'm expecting that, you know, these order blocks right here, we have an order block right here, we have an order block right there. I'm expecting this to hold price down. This could be an area where I could add into the trade, but I don't really want to add all the way down there because, you know, if it goes up there and then go higher, that's going to mess everything up, right? I don't want to turn a winning trade into a losing trade. So I don't really want to add into this trade. I'm just looking for the market to get down here where this purple line is at, and then I'm going to trail my stop right there unless I get stopped out right now as it's going back up. All right, so it is a little bit risky to let the market pull back like this, but because, you know, we left that gap open and then we made some order blocks, right? We left this gap right here open. Then we made some order blocks, right? That's looking like it could be really bearish. So I'm trying to see if we can hit into these order blocks and then continue to go to the downside. But I'm trying to be as patient as possible because that can definitely offer me some more profits, right, on my prop firm accounts. So, you know, trailing your stop loss can be very tough sometimes. I prefer to always use the 5-minute chart, but because we really don't have nothing on the 5-minute chart that we can go off of, I have to use like the 1 minute. You know, you can use pretty much any time frame as long as it's on the lowers. You know, but so far, you know, no other time frame outside of the 1 minute is really telling us anything, right? So this is where I could possibly add right here. I'm thinking about adding, but ooh, it jumped up a little bit too high right there. So I am going to add right there because it's only, you know, it's not really risking that much extra. So I did add right there. And I want to see if we can continue to drop down. That was definitely a risky add. But I want to see if we can continue to drop down. Then on that position where I added at, the moment we like start to drop down, I want to move that position until break even as soon as possible. But the only reason I added is because now, regardless of what happened, I should still be in profits even if I do get stopped out. So it came real close to stopping me right there. That's why I was a little bit skeptical on adding. But if this trade works, I think it's going to be a real good place to add right there. We just need this market to continue to go to the downside and leave that gap open, right? Damn it. So it did stop me right there. That sucks. That sucks because I was up about 1,400 on that trade, and then I only locked in 300 on my 200K account. So that sucks tremendously. and I only locked in about 100 on my other account, right? So now we have to wait and see. I knew adding right there could be risky. You know, I should have just taken that first 1,000 when I was up about 1,300. I should have just taken that instead of trying to get fancy and add. But it's all good. You know, we're going to see what they give us. You know, we might be able to get an entry back up at the top right there. But at the end of the day, I don't want to be inside of this trade anyways once it breaks through all of these order blocks right there, right? I don't want to be inside of this trade once it does that, regardless. So I'm not really too mad. I wish I would have just locked in at 1,000. That would have been nice, but we're just going to wait and see if we can find another entry. So far, at least we're up on the day. We're not red, right? We took one win, one loss. That's completely fine, right? So I'm going to delete this off of my chart for now. And then we have this zone right here. I'm thinking maybe what I should have did was put my stop loss at the top of this gap, now that I think about it. Right? Because I'm looking at this range, and then we're working at the, so yeah, I think I'm gonna have to get back in this trade again. That was unfortunate. So yeah, I'm gonna get back in this trade again right here, you guys. So I'm gonna get back in this trade. I just realized, and like I said, that's the thing about trailing. Sometimes you trail, and you don't do it the right way, right? I'm still learning the art of trailing, but essentially what I did was, let me see. I did get back in. They didn't really give me a great entry. My entry is like right here. So I may look to add into this position as well. But I just thought about something like I should have been at least using the midpoint of that gap as my stop loss, right? Like that, the midpoint or even the upper quadrant. But I have my stop loss up here right now just to be safe. I did just get back in that trade, and they put me in at a really horrible entry. I think my entry is like right there on my first one. So we're going to try to go for a 1 to 3 on this as well, and then we're going to look to add into this position. So it just hit the midpoint right there. So even if I would have put it at the midpoint, it would have stopped me out. Let me see. So this is definitely not a good sign right here. We didn't want to see the market go all the way back up like that. That is definitely not a good sign. And so right now I can't really add anymore. As a matter of fact, I'm just going to close the trade right now. I'm just going to close that trade even before it hit my stop loss, right? Because it wasn't supposed to do all of that. So this is definitely, horrible trade management so far. Let me see. I'm down. Now I'm down 470 on my 200K account. And then I'm down 150 on my other account, right? So that was a bit unfortunate, but I'm still taking the same trade idea. I'm not switching anything up. I'm going to be taking the same trade. That's why I wish I would have taken profits the first time around, because sometimes the market can do this thing where, it does all of this coming back for no reason, freaking everybody out. Right, so now I did re-enter right here. I have to have my stop all the way up here. The reason why I went ahead and got in right there is because I do think the market is downtrending, so I don't know if it's going to sweep this high out or not. If it definitely could, but for sure this high should be protected. This high should possibly be protected as well. So I just went ahead and grabbed one entry in there, and then if we continue to pull back up, definitely going to look to add right there. Same idea. We're gonna take the same ideal again. Sometimes this happens, or the market has to come up, sweep some people out of the trade. That's why that's why you always got to trail aggressively, because you don't really know exactly what the market wants to do. I can remove that off of my chart now. So we are in some baby profits right here. But honestly, I wouldn't even be mad if the market went a little bit higher, because I do want to get one more position on this trade if I can. If not, it's all right. Just go ahead and start dropping down. So literally, this is just the same idea. The market had to go fake us out the first time around. It's all good. Let's see if we're going to get the drop off this time. Let's see if we're going to get this drop off. And this is why trading is so hard. You could take nothing but profitable trades and be down on the day, right? So luckily I managed my risk pretty good. I'm only down about 470 on my 200K account at the moment, and I'm down about 150 on my 150K account. So we're really not down much at all, right? I'm just looking to get in this trade and ride it out for as long as I can, right? We did get that retouch back up at the right on this first presented fair value gap. So if we drop it to the 5-minute, right, we can look and see how these candles are closing. Right, we can look at different time frames to see how those candles are closing. But ultimately, what we're going to be looking at is the 1-minute time frame, because we want to see, price start to work its way down, right? And then we can go into the hourly time frame to look for some possible targets, right? And I told you guys we had an inversion all the way down here. I don't know if the price is going to get to this inversion, but at the bare minimum, I want to see price at least sweep this low right here. Right, so this is like almost a 4-to-1 risk to reward ratio on this trade. just being real patient. You know, it might take some time for this trade to play out, but I'm just sticking to my trade idea right now. We're really not moving our stop losses too much. We're really just, we have our entry at the first presented fair value gap. Now we just have to wait. So it definitely went up a little bit higher than what I wanted to see, but what I'm hoping right now is that it just wants to touch this new week opening gap one last time, take off, right? Even though I have my stop loss all the way up to the top right there, I really don't want to see it go above there, right? And it just went right below that. So I am in some down draw, but that's okay, right? Losing is a part of the game. That's why when I was up on this sell the first time around, I should have just took those profits and walked away. Tried to get too fancy, tried to get too greedy. Now I'm sitting in some down draw, right? But I just have to trust my stop, even though it's not looking that good, right? Because we had to break above the first presented. Broke above, we touched it one time. Now it's starting to come up a little bit too high. Maybe it wants to go up here and touch that new week, the midpoint of that new week opening gap. Right, but as of now, I'm just going to hold off and wait and see and just have to trust my stop loss, right? I'm not going to switch my idea because, you know, we had an early entry. I'm just going to hold off and wait. But I definitely don't like how it broke above that first presented fair value gap. I would like to see it break back below that first presented fair value gap, right? Otherwise, it's likely going to probably stop me out. So the fact that it just went to that purple line is letting me know that I'm more than likely on the wrong side of this trade at this point. But the only reason why I'm waiting is because on a 5-minute time frame, right, that was an order block. And this right here is where our stop loss obviously have to be. So I'm just waiting for that because I think that price will respect that 5-minute order block. And then this could just be the midpoint of that wick on the 5-minute order block where we see the market just went into. And then it could be just faking people out, hit the midpoint of that wick, and then sell off like what we see right now, right? So that's why I haven't sold. That's why I haven't, you know, got freaked out too much because I'm looking at all of that. But I at least felt like I need to explain that to you guys on why I'm still holding this trade. Right, for targets, I'm still looking on the 1 hour. I'm looking for possibly this low, but at the bare minimum, I want to see at least this 1 hour order block right here, and then we do have a swing low right there. So I want to see price get, you know, start to come down below there. But, you know, I could be wrong because it's getting really close to stopping me out. So at this point, I'm definitely wish when we caught the trade the first time, I wish we would have just took profits and walked away. I tried to get too fancy, tried to get too greedy, got reversed on, right? So that sucks. And now I'm looking to, you know, turn a green day into a red day, right? That's not what you want to do, especially when you're so close to taking a payout. You know, but if this 5-minute order block can hold up, I do think that, you know, we can still, you know, have a green day. But it looked like it's going to stop me out right here. It's like so close to stopping me. Just got stopped out right there. So that's unfortunate. That is how you turn a winning trade into a losing trade, by not taking profits. You all seen it live on screen. We know we wasn't wrong with our first trade idea, but we got reversed on. So now my funded account is pretty much back to break even. I'm down 2,200 on the day. So I lost a little bit over 1%. You know, I'm not too mad about the risk to reward. And then on my other account, I'm down about 1,100 on the day. I was risking a little bit more than I should have been risking on that other account, but that's all right. All right, so I am going to end the screen right there, you guys. I hope you guys learned something. Y'all see I had one trade. It was really good. Got greedy. Didn't take profits. Tried it again. Got stopped out. Took a red day, right? Not the end of the world. Is a little bit annoying, but that's all right, right? We just we have to wait for a different day, come back, try it again, right? So I appreciate you guys for watching. Make sure y'all drop a like. If y'all are going to go pick up any accounts, make sure to check out the description below. I have all of my links there. Use code TRUCKING if you guys go buy an account. And I will see y'all in the next